primetime.
Oh my God.
Chris Gaines.
While you were doing it. And,
What a weirdo.
Such a weirdo. All right.
Welcome to Life's Greatest Hits. I'm Jason Earle.
And I am Jordan Foley.
Y'all, we are pleased to announce a new direction for the show. On our last episode, we listened to Jason Isbell's Foxes in the Snow together, then set up the mics to discuss our immediate impressions. The episode was so well received and we had so much fun making it that we decided to keep the format going forward. Each episode, one of us chooses a vinyl, the two of us get together and listen one time through, then we discuss our takeaways. All right, Jordan, how's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty well, man. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. I've had a hell of a day, but I'm so glad that we are here together. We both had pretty intense days, and now we're recording, and I really look forward to these moments. And I'm like, it's almost as soon as you walk through the door, I was like, oh, okay. Some normalcy, some support, and something fun to do. So I'm really stoked, and I'm super stoked for this episode, man.
Me too, man.
Before we get into it, though, what you got going on?
Oh man, well, like as you said, like it's been a whirlwind of a day. You know, work sucks. I know, but we just roll with it. Yeah, been busy. Been all over the place. Just went on tour with Michigan Rattlers, which is another wild fucking thing I get to say. I still can't believe that I did that. We went up through Raleigh and played there, and then we played a handful at Greenville, South Carolina, and like came back down, played in Tampa. It was just an amazing run. And then in between there, I got to open for Tommy Prine, which you attended.
I did. It was awesome
here in town. So, you know, in terms of the shows went well. We're going to be taking a little bit of a back seat in terms of like hitting the road here now that we're getting into wedding mode. We are in full throttle wedding mode, folks. I'm getting married in October. It is a wild time. So we are in the trenches with getting in the positive trenches, but financial ruin trenches. That is wedding season.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, everything's been good. Been writing, been inspired. Been working with some friends. My buddy Scout, who you know.
Yep.
And he just recorded a demo. He had a demo and he needed vocals on it. So he was like, hey, you want to come over and just like throw down some vocals on it? And we spent like 3-4 hours on it. It's a great song. And
you posted on socials about it, and man, like the look on his face.
Yeah.
And then the interaction
He's
between
so
the two
proud.
of you, and like you sounded great. Like even on a cell phone recording, you know, you sounded great, and I'm stoked to hear the finished product.
Thank you. Yeah, very excited about that. I'm just excited to hear how it goes. I don't know. He wants to pitch it and get into the publishing world, which I'm excited for him for that. But he did say that, I have the honors of going and playing it myself, just telling people that he wrote it. I mean, it's a very good song.
The clip I heard, it was just like maybe the chorus.
Yeah. The hook.
Yeah, like I'm on it.
Yeah, it's good. It's about some personal stuff that he was going through. He was a guitar tech. He was on the road for a long time, and he just wrote this song about being away from home, being away from his partner, and just how tough that is, and ended up being just a really, really great song. So I say that because I'm feeling inspired and motivated to be like in my creative element and taking everything as it comes and being inspired. I'm trying to be inspired by whatever comes my way. So yeah, it's been really good. And then
awesome.
Man, thank you. The last thing is our dear friend Terry Binion, who is one of my biggest mentors over the years. She's a local singer-songwriter here in Orlando, Florida. She has decided to pack up her house and move up north to West Virginia. So, big shout out to Terry for going on her next journey, and I wish her all the best of luck. We're doing an honorary show here in a couple days. Terry Binion's Not Goodbye Party at Will's Pub. Kaylee Baker put together. It's a hell of a lineup. Hannah Harbor, Hannah Stokes, Grayson from Someday River, Ballet Who from Orlando Weekly is going to be giving like a speech. So it's going to be a really cool show. So I'm looking forward to that coming up, and just sending Terry on her way. Terry has taught me so much about how to be a songwriter and how to believe in what you're writing and saying, and the type of influence that you have to realize that you have, giving your lyrics space. I mean, really just diving into the nitty gritty of like writing, songwriting in particular. So yeah, but that's what's been going on with me. How about you?
Dude, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that show as well. Man, I've been really busy. Like, since the last episode, I have quit my day job.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Pretty big deal.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
big move.
Kind of nerve-wracking, but exciting. I needed to do it, and I know I made the right decision. And so what I've been doing in the meantime is really leaning into creative work, especially leaning into podcasting. I'm working very hard right now on learning video and trying to bring video content.
Yeah.
And some other elements to both my podcast, The Marinade with Jason Earle, and then also our podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about the direction that my creative life is going. I just released 3 episodes in a row. I'm on a weekly schedule now.
There you go.
Yep. I got Steve Poltz, the great Steve Poltz, who co-wrote Jewels You Were Meant for Me. And he's also like an incredible songwriter in his own right.
Absolutely.
And performer.
Absolutely.
That we recorded that at Spirit of the Swanee Music Park back in March, and I released it about 3 weeks ago. Pearl Rachinsky, who I caught up with ahead of your show with John Moreland at
So
Tuffy's
cool.
Music Box
She's
earlier
so
this year.
cool.
She's the best.
Pearl's awesome. Shout out to Pearl.
Yep. Check
and John
her work.
Moreland.
Yep. John's too cool too. Like, check out both of their work. I mean, Pearl is a visual artist, and it's hard for me to describe what she does because she does so many different things. She does branding and illustration and all kinds of amazing things.
She's also John's tour manager.
She's also John's tour manager. And so we got to catch up on that particular tour when you guys played Tuffy's Music Box in Sanford, Florida. I also just, what is today?
Today is May 6th.
Okay, so I just released 5 days ago, my conversation. That's not true. I just released yesterday my conversation with Matt Anderson. It feels like that was 4 or 5 days ago, buddy, given what I've been doing. But Matt Anderson, y'all, The Hammer and the Rose is the name of the record that he just put out. This man's voice, his writing, I love to see him live. I keep hearing about how great his live performance is, and he's just a fucking sweetheart too. So we had a great conversation, and then I want to tell you about 2 things quickly. One is Caitlin Cannon, who I recorded with. She has a record called Love Addict coming out this Friday.
Nice.
That's outstanding. And we really connected. It was one of the more unique Marinade episodes, I think. We hit it off immediately, and I felt like we went in directions that I don't usually get to go in, which was very cool. She was very open as a thought partner.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for folks to hear that. And then another one that was very similar, but we went in different directions, just similar in the sense of he was ready to go along for the ride, was Scott Sherrard. He was Greg Allman's band leader.
Oh, wow.
Musical director for 10 years.
Dang.
Yeah. And he is now one of the sort of co-band leaders of the legendary band Little Feat.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and they have a new record coming out.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So, thank you to everybody who listens to The Marinade. Thank you to everybody for supporting in that way. And the other thing that I have to quickly plug is my Patreon for The Marinade.
Yeah.
As we just gained 3 new members.
That's awesome.
Yeah, in the last couple of weeks.
That's great.
So
Patreon's huge.
It's awesome.
It helps out so much.
Yeah.
You get extra content. You get to engage with whoever's running it. I've been a member of yours for a handful of years now.
Yep.
So you get a lot of cool shit from that. And yeah, man, keep going. You're doing great stuff. I'm excited to check out all these episodes and everything you're doing.
Thanks, dude. Yeah. Some great things. Well, I'm also really excited about today.
Yeah, me too.
We're diving into some Earle James.
Yeah.
You picked this one.
I did pick this one. And we've already done some extensive talking about it, discussion about the album as it is. So it'll be nice off mic. So it'll be nice to sit down and actually listen to it with somebody. I don't typically, I think it's funny because with Mariah, one of his older songs, Blue Pill
I was
Blues
listening to it today. Yeah.
came up.
Yeah.
And Mariah was listening to it and I was like, you know who this is? She's like, no. I'm like, is this my playlist? She's like, no, it's mine. And she got like super defensive about it. I was like, this is Earle James. She's like, okay. And I was like, that's not important. We're doing an episode on it. But yeah, man, been digging Earle James's music for a long time. And I know that you have a story of how you kind of dove into his music. But I'll just say, like, years ago, I was in a songwriting workshop. I believe I've talked about it on the podcast before. If I haven't, it was a pretty influential group that I was in where we did like an 8-week songwriting workshop. There were a handful of artists, and we were given a theme or a topic or a line that we would have to use in a song and then post that song at the end of the week on SoundCloud for all to hear. And then we give positive feedback only. So Earle James was actually, funny enough, in this songwriting workshop, but I think he was going under like an alias name or like didn't know. And like, so I didn't find out until a few months ago from Kyle Keller that we were actually in this workshop together. Maybe he was in it before me, but I don't know. But like, I thought that was pretty cool. Drew Nix from the Red Clay Strays was also in there, and his wife, Lori, Red from Red and the Revelers up in Alabama. And then it was all led by Abe Partridge. And then Kyle Keller was the one who got me to be a part of it. So I, funny enough, fell into Earle James's music before he signed with Easy Eye Sound, when he was just kind of starting to release his music, and been a fan ever since. So
That's
it's
cool.
he, been a big fan. He's on my rotation pretty heavily on the regular. How about
That's
you?
awesome. Yeah. I mean, mine very different, but also a cool introduction to him. Shovels and Rope played here at the Social in Orlando. Great little rock club, folks. If you ever are from out of town and you haven't been to the Social, it's worth a trip. It's a really cool spot. I've seen so many great shows there. But yeah, he was the opener that night, and I was covering the show. I wrote about it, and I took some, I don't know why I didn't look up the photographs. I got them somewhere, but I took some shots of the show, and he opened, and I was just floored by him from the beginning. And I'll save some of that conversation for later, but just from the very first listen, went in totally cold, no idea who this guy was, and he gets up there and completely owns a room ahead of, these modern legends of Americana, Shovels and Rope, and his stage presence and everything about the experience immediately got me hooked. So I'm really excited to listen to this record and talk about it.
Man, it's always exciting to go to a show, and then like you find that the opener is somebody A, you didn't know, but B, like they blow you away. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like there are openers out there who maybe they're burned out from opening or being on tour, and they don't always bring it the way that you want them, the way that you hope they would. Like this is, I look at, for me as an opener, I always look at it as like, this is an opportunity to play in front of more people that have never seen me before in a genre that like is right up my alley. Like these are the people that I want to listen to my music. So I always found that really important to be able to pick a good opener or good direct support. I also got to see J.D. McPherson at the Social years and years ago, and Charlie Crockett opened for him.
So
and
wild.
I didn't really know, like I knew one Charlie Crockett song.
Yeah.
That dude threw down. That dude let everybody, Charlie Crockett let everybody know who he was, and he kicked so much ass, and I'm a big fan of his too.
Charlie be doing that. If you've never seen him, folks.
Yeah, man, he puts on a show.
And he'll tell you about it too.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, you own it.
Yeah,
own your shit, man.
Yeah, I remember when I saw him at Bonnaroo, at the end, he slayed.
Yeah.
And at the end, he was like, y'all come see us next time. We'll be even better.
We'll be even better. Yeah.
So
yeah, they are. Yeah, his band is wild too. His band's really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's again with the new format, we're going to give an introduction, talk about not just like how we came across their music, but a little bit of background about them, because we might be introducing somebody's music that you've never heard before. So very excited to talk about Earle James a little bit more. I did some digging. So I'm just going to share what I found online. Cool. I have no credit on any of this, but it gives you a good sense of what he's about. So Earle James, whose real name is Frederick James Mullis Jr. His music is him and his band, the Earle James and the Latest. They're a combination of roots rock, the lonesomeness of the blues, and tongue and cheek of classic country, drawing their influences from Hank Williams to Frank Williams. Drawing their influences from Hank Williams to Miles Davis, this raw combination of James Mullis and Adrian Marmolejo is a musical meltdown that draws from the rich lyrical content of the South. Earle James, his name's Frederick. singer, guitarist, songwriter who gained recognition for his blend of blues, folk, rock, and country influences. He began playing guitar at 16 years old, was inspired by his friend's band, Fire Mountain, and then started writing his own music. At 21, he moved from Troy, Alabama to Birmingham, Alabama. And so that's where he formed his band, Earle James and the Latest. Over time, he got picked up by Easy Eye Sound, which is Dan Auerbach of the Black Keys' record label. And they signed him. His first debut album under Easy Eye was Singing for My Supper, which was released in 2020. He's had a couple albums since then, and his second album was Strange Time to Be Alive in 2022, as well as additional singles and EPs along the way. And then this year, at the very beginning of the year, he released Medium Raw, which is the album we'll be listening to and talking about tonight. So the Tennessean wrote... Earle James makes folksy blues music that seems best suited for stoking anarchy while soothing reckless abandon. He was surprisingly asked to record at the Honky Chateau, the studio and 113-year-old home of photographer and award-winning visual designer Buddy Jackson. It's a 10-minute drive south of Music Row and 3 minutes away from Easy Eye Sound's downtown Nashville headquarters. Now, Frederick himself wrote... that he explained that I love how playing at house shows lulls you into a false sense of comfort and security. So recording Medium Raw in a house allowed me to endure how recording a record always feels, along with crimes being committed against me like one of the least safe experiences of my life.
Fuck yeah, sign me up.
So,
sign me up.
I mean, that's the episode, guys. That's it. I think we kind of get a good sense of what Earle James is about, what Medium Raw is. If you haven't listened to this album, maybe take a pause on this podcast episode. Go listen to it with us. We're going to go ahead and sit down and just give it a listen together. Maybe jot some notes down, and then we're going to come back and discuss.
Hell yeah. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
All right.
Hey guys, so over the last couple years, my hat collection has grown, but these wide brim hats I got from Two Roads Hat Company have become my absolute favorites. I am very excited to let you know that I now have a partnership going with Two Roads Hat Company. Head on over to tworoadshatco.com. Pick out your favorite hat. They have so many to choose from. They have felt, straw, wide brim, short brim. They have trucker hats. They have beanies, you name it. Be sure to use the discount code Foley15 and get yourself 15% off of your order. Again, that's tworoadshatco.com. Foley15 in all caps will get you 15% off your order at Two Roads Hat Company.
Shoo, buddy.
Wow. Well, there you go, man.
Yeah.
That's it. We hope you enjoyed your listen.
Yeah.
I feel like Frasier. Well, I hope you enjoyed your listen. You found yourself, in a good place.
I do hope you were in a good place. Yeah, after listening to the album.
Yeah, like nice and calm, like NPR. 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
I just want you to be at peace.
I don't know, dude. I don't know if there's anything calm about this record.
There's nothing calm about it. That's the crazy thing.
But god damn, it's good.
I mean, it's called Medium Raw for a reason. It's raw as hell.
Yeah,
dude.
it is. Yeah,
so raw.
Dude, I think that's one of the things that stood out to me immediately. We've both listened to this record quite a bit, but there was something different about this listen. And again, the format and how it brings out certain things and the ability to kind of bounce ideas off of each other while we're listening. Yes, the rawness would probably be the biggest takeaway, and how that rawness conveys the emotion. Yeah,
for sure. Definitely. It's because it's simple. It's simple, but it's complex in like musicality. Like the instrumentation, his lyrics are heavy. His singing is powerful, but like you can sense this. Like there's not a lot of mix on it. It's like as raw as it's gonna get.
Because vocals even peak sometimes, and you're like, but it works.
Yeah,
I
loved it. I love it. So tell me, what were your big takeaways? You spent some time with this album.
I spent quite a bit of time.
I mean, so have I, but like I, wanted to give you the floor. So what are your thoughts?
Well, the first thing that probably the rawness jumped out at me, but part of that is something about this particular listen laid out for me, the urgency in his singing. I love his voice.
The urgency.
Yeah, there's like a sense of urgency
That's
to
such
it.
an interesting choice.
Like he's got to get this out.
Yeah.
And nothing is going to stop him. He has to get these emotions out. And that was the thing that really jumped out at me at first, was the urgency to it.
Okay. Would you say that like his voice was like monstrous? Because it's almost like a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde, the way like I hear it. It's like, and this is coming from a place of knowing that I have those moments in my own songs of like that growl, that yell, that like, oh, we kept talking about it with lightning.
Yeah.
Strike me down.
Yeah.
For nothing surprises me anymore. Is it like a monstrous thing? Do you think there's like controlled chaos? Like how would you define that, what you just described with his vocals of being peaking and whatnot?
That's a really interesting way to put it, the monstrous characterization of it.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it that way until you just said so. You know, because I think this, if I had to like put this into some sort of genre box, which is really hard to do because it has so many different elements. If I had to paint a broad brush, I would probably call it Southern Gothic.
Yeah.
I think it feels a lot similar to Amigo the Devil, who we've talked about on this show. I'm also reminded of the fact that he's from Alabama, and I think of Pine Hill Haints. I don't know if you listen much to
I've
them,
seen them.
Yeah.
Saw him at Will's Pub.
Yeah, Jamie's been on the show before, been on the
they're real
Marinade
good.
before, yeah. I remember that Will's Pub show and I couldn't make it. But yeah, those bands from Alabama, it's almost like they're conjuring up ghosts, right? And so to think about, or at least they're communing with ghosts.
We know who else is from Alabama. Isbell.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
There's like
for sure.
Like what you're saying.
Yeah, all the truckers, pretty much.
All the truckers.
Just about
Red
all
Clay
of them.
Strays. They have a sound to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
Abe Partridge.
Abe Partridge
has
is another
a
example.
Very like distinctive, wild voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a great example.
Raw. Very
like
raw.
They're all like speaking of Abe, like they're all like a quarter preacher. Mm-hmm. You know,
They got a little bit of they got a little bit of a sermon in them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was. Abe was,
I know.
but in terms of like even here with Frederick, yeah, like you can tell that like he's got a way. I mean, his words aren't. Tell me what you think about this, but like I don't think he's laying it on thick of being like, let me get real existential with you. You know what I mean? We listen to John Moreland and we're like, man, he's like diving into like other worlds of like of emotions, and Early James is just fucking hitting you in the mouth with it.
I think I agree with that. I also think that a lot of, maybe not more than say Moreland or somebody else, but a lot of the way that he is conveying that those existential questions is through the music in the room.
Yeah.
And we mentioned, you were talking about like how, especially early on in the record, that the drums are kind of subtle.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's because earlier off the mic, you and I had talked about it, and you had said something, this was weeks ago when we first talked about it, where you were like, well, there's not a lot of drums on it.
Yeah.
And I had to go back and listen to it and find that you're right, but there are moments where it does hit.
Yeah.
But like, in the first song with, it was the very first song, Steely Knives.
Yeah.
There's just a subtle brush of a snare.
Yeah.
And it's like the bass is driving the upright bass is driving it home. You know, you don't need a kick because it's got it. But it's like still sounds. It's like the tempo's fast paced. It's like it's a good welcome. It's a good welcome into that whole album. And that was another thing. This is one of the big things I wanted to talk about. Especially after listening to it with you, is just how important sequencing is. I don't think a lot of people, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I feel like I pay attention to like the flow of an album. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that like every song needs to like go into each other. They all need to be cohesive, but there has to be some sort of ebb and flow from the jump to the end. Mm-hmm. What'd you think of the sequencing?
100%. I think it flows beautifully.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about when we were listening is from each, there are a couple of songs, especially early on, and I shouldn't say especially early on. Throughout the record, there are a handful of songs where he almost stops and manages to make it flow.
Yeah.
And like the tempo changes really stood out to me. And I bring that up to kind of underscore your point about sequencing. Because while each song that's happening, also with the sequencing that happens, he lets it breathe. There are moments where he is, as you pointed out, really like punching you in the face with it, and then he backs off a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And that happens throughout the record.
Flow.
The ebb and the flow. Like it's so beautiful.
It is really beautiful. I think it's just it matters so much. It's what makes the albums great. And I've been seeing a lot of talk out there, especially like in music marketing on Instagram handles that I follow, where they give advice about like, here's how you should market your music in 2025. A lot of them are saying, like, don't count out albums just because Spotify is like, oh, keep releasing singles. Like, people want music in bulk, but the concept of an album still matters. The idea of having a concept of an album still resonates. I mean, shit, if it didn't, then we wouldn't even be having this podcast.
Yeah.
Like we're literally diving into
I was having a conversation.
Album to album.
So I'm gonna give a shout out to Drex Carter, who's a rapper here in town and has become a buddy. And has a real passionate following, especially in Europe.
Oh, okay.
And he's really good he's a real smart guy, working really hard, young guy. And he loves albums and talks about physical media quite a bit. And he's a young dude that is making music and thinking about albums.
Yeah.
And one of the conversations we had recently was about how he feels like the movement is actually younger people are rejecting the idea of it has to be a single and it has to be a video. Like they're organically rejecting that and coming back to the full album.
Yeah.
So that, first of all, awesome to hear that from a younger person.
Very
right?
much, yeah.
And I think we both agree, and of course, like you said, the reason why we do this is because we are big believers in albums and the cohesiveness of them.
I agree. And I think beyond just albums, I mean, I've taken in a lot of info because, and it's solely because I'm at this level of my music career of like, okay, I'm like, shit or get off the pot, like really go for it, or like, what are we doing, And so in that, I've been trying to take a lot of notes and follow along with people who are like, here's some good advice. And what I'm finding is they'll keep hitting you with all this good advice, but they also put out posts of like, do whatever the hell you want. They're like, I just saw a video where it was like, literally one day he was talking about like, here's how you promote a show. And I've done it a while. So like there's some where I'm like, all right, I'm good there. Yeah. But then the next one will come up and it'll be like, hey, I know we throw a lot of things at you and we tell you like, here's how to do this and here's how to do that. But really like go by the beat of your own drum, because whatever you're doing, it's bringing in some attention. Just keep going with it. Just like multiply it, like maximize your workload. But we're getting like, we're getting into the weeds with like the idea of like just being an artist, but like you can tell, I think this is something that I wanted to say with Earle James in particular, was you got to see him play live. Yeah. He's on my fucking bucket list. So like he is like up there with like, I need to see him play, or I want to jump on a show with him. Yeah. But the thing for me is like, I either need to see him at Preservation Hall in the French Quarter in New Orleans.
Oh, wow.
Or the diviest bar of any city. Like I want there to be like smoke in the air and fucking whiskey flowing from the bar. And that dude is just wailing, because I've seen some of his live streams. Like he's like, when he goes on tour, like they've been throwing up, especially to like promote this album. They've been doing some live streams. I got to tell you, man, they fucking kill it. As a band, they rock out, and they don't need a lot. It's a trio. Like I think if I remember correctly, it's like a trio or a foursome. And like they really are powerful. So when I was talking about Monstrous, there is like a level of like they're bringing the show. But I do agree that like when they're like taking their time making a record, they're very methodical. You know, it's method. It's taking your time to map out all these songs that you have. I just saw recently Rob Thomas, weird enough, like was interviewing on a podcast. I can't remember whose it was, but he was talking about how like, you know, a lot of the albums that you hear, he's like, especially mine, like the albums that I did with Matchbox 20, I have hours and hours of songs. I have 3 hours worth of songs, but I need to get it down to 12 songs because those 12 songs are what's going to bring it home. Like what's going to be the meat that you're going to like walk away with something. So, you know, I think that's something to be said with Earle James, that he like really cohesively from start to finish, like really brought the sequencing home.
Okay, let me ask you a question then to build on that. This is 12 songs long?
Yeah.
Okay. Over 46 minutes, which is a little long for an LP, not necessarily like ridiculously long, but what did you think about the length of the record? Was it just right for you? Do you feel like it needs more and needs less?
I would say that I needed, I don't know if I needed, when I first heard it, I got lost in the weeds. When I first listened to it, I was like, it's like a walk or a run, you know, like you're going for a jog and like you're losing some momentum, some speed, but it's not because it's slowing down or getting boring. It's like, it's heavy. It's because it's heavy. And whether it's like I said, punching you in the face, or it has like this moment of like softness where it's like you're more in a swanky room or a swanky bar room of a hotel, or like, you know, like the mood definitely changes with him and with the band and with his song choice. I would say after Tinfoil Hat is where really the go down swinging, like it definitely changes. But in terms of the length, I think it makes for a great album because it's long enough. And I think it really like gives you everything you would want. We had talked earlier about like, you know, you and I, when we do these, we're like, we do a bit of a deep dive, and like you and I spent some time on his catalog. We listened to some of his older albums today, and like we're like, yeah, let's get familiar, you know, like obviously we both listened to him before, but it's like, let's just, you know, kind of just dive into the Earle James catalog. And I would say that like this is the first album of his that I just didn't want to end. And I don't mean that I would just want his other albums to end. It's more like, all right, we're getting to like, you know, we're getting to the end. This is more like a cohesive from start to finish journey that's taking you somewhere. And when you do finally get to the end of it, you're like left with like resolve.
Yeah, I think that's 100% right. I agree with you. I like a long album as long as you're keeping my attention the whole time. Exactly. And he is keeping your attention the whole time. I'm not a believer in like keep your songs to, and I'm fine with shit. All of my songs are like 2.5 minutes long. You know? So I like a good short song. I like a good folk punk song, you know, or punk folk, or I like a good punk song.
I think it,
but like with him, toward the end there, we get to Dig to China, and it's damn near 7 minutes long, and there's only 2 more songs on the album. You know, I think about somebody like Jamie Harris, whose last record, she opens with a 7-minute song.
That's heavy.
Yeah, and it's
a lot,
and it's a big ask of your audience. But if you deliver, they're going to go with you.
So, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Whenever we were working on our album with Thomas Wynn. With the song Ruins, and him bringing up like, you know, hey, like let's do a full-blown Pink Floyd. Oh, look at that. Full-blown Pink Floyd like breakdown. Let's do this like full-blown like in a folk song that's like gradient gothic, and let's just like make it sound like a fucking alien spaceship is like landing right in front of you and is going to take you away for like a minute of this song. And it kind of opened my eyes to, you know, the regular the typical expectation of like a 3-minute song. Song should be 3 to 4 minutes. But sometimes songs do require a little bit extra because there's got to be resolve, there's got to be space, there's got to be breadth, there's got to be depth, there's got to be like elements that are infused to really bring the song home. I know I say that a lot, like, oh, bring it home, baby. You know what I mean? Like, but you got to bring the song home. The song has to come up with some resolve in some way, or the resolve itself could be no resolve. Like, I love ending songs on just like the last line and like no final chord, no G. I'm not going back to G. I'm just going to end it right here on D.
I do that all the time.
But to go back to what you're saying about like writing a short song, what I have noticed is songwriters in general, this is just a general blanketed statement, songwriters really have to spend a lot of time trying to map out just how long it should be and why is it that long. Is it long because I want to be able to be up on stage playing a song that long? I just want to keep playing. I just want to keep going, ooh, la, 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 which, listen, I'm not trying to call anybody out, but that's fucking true. Like, people do that. And that's fine if you do it well. You know what I mean? But then there's the other side where it's like you just want to get to the point, like what you said. You know, your songs to the point. It's not simple. It's heavy, but it's like getting to that end point. I just think it varies. I think if you know that the song isn't going to be a viral hit for being 7 minutes long, why not just make it 7 minutes long then?
Right.
Somebody's going to want to go listen to it.
Yeah.
We get asked to play Ruins all the time because people want to hear the breakdown. The rest of the song is good.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good song.
It's a good,
I'm
very good song.
I'm very confident with that song. I love that song. But a lot of people, when you're with the band, like when it's the full band, you want to hear that shit.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, again, I think there's a level of like entertaining your audience. You know, I've talked about it before. My song Train to St. Louis, or I've told you before, I've talked about it on stage. When I first wrote it, it was an 8-verse opera. 8-verse rock opera about a ghost train where people are dying and becoming ghosts for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
That's the concept. And every single verse was a different ghost character. And I brought that to Tyler, my bandmate, and he was like, hey man, this is awesome. We can't do 8 verses. We can't handle it.
Yeah.
You have to know when to like put your foot off the gas, you know? Hit
That's
the
awesome.
brake.
I was going to ask you specifically about Train.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, that's...
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Look at that.
Did you have something for me? Because I have a question for you.
I just have lyrics.
That's what I was going to ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wrote them down and I
yeah.
said them out loud when we were listening to them. And I just like, they're resonating with me. It could very well be because Mariah and I are just really heavy on murder documentaries right now.
Oh, okay.
But in Going Down Swinging, he says, did I fall in love with a villain? Someone who killed to make a living. Well, I'll never be the hero. So let me go down swinging.
Shoo, buddy.
Like, fuck it. Might as well just like, you know, we've all been there. We've all been in like relationships where, you know, like, yeah, she's crazy or he's crazy or they're crazy, but what else do I got going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what else?
Yeah.
What else is there? You know, and it's, I think life has a way of giving you those turns, and those lyrics just really stood out to me.
Ladies who have been or are currently in my life, I'm not referring to you at all. When I agree with Jordan wholeheartedly, it's not
I don't
you.
know. Mariah's my ride. I'm a ride or die with Mariah, so I went down swinging hard right from the jump.
There you go.
You know,
yes, sir.
in a good way, the best way possible.
Yeah, but I think also that lesson can. That's not just when I hear it, I don't think just romantic relationships. I can also think about the transferable. That's obviously he's talking about love, you know, in that case, but just how that can be. You can transfer that lesson to work.
Oh yeah.
To a song that you've written, stories, movies,
hero versus villain, like
there's so
comic
many
books. I mean, it does go way beyond just love, but heroes and villains is all about the push and pull.
Yes.
Of love,
which is a through line in the album. The push and pull sonically, as we talked about before, the push and pull lyrically, and with the characters.
Yeah.
There's a through line that I think you and I both caught that lyric and talked about it while we were listening,
Yeah.
and that was going to be one that I wanted to talk about. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah,
That's rad.
I got a lyric for you.
Okay, hit me.
This is on "Nothing Surprises Me Anymore," which is the
love that
second.
song.
Yeah, it's so good. It has this chugging bass line that, like, I love a good chugging bass line. It sounds like it's almost like a Waylon Jennings.
My voice got so deep that I went, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hit me with that bass line.
It's almost like a Waylon Jennings.
Yeah, baby.
But there, he says, "You can have culture without the cult."
Oh, shit. That's heavy.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Can you, though? I mean, like, let's think about it, though. Like, can you, like, in all actuality of the statement, can you have culture without some sort of cult to battle against it? I look at culture as a level of, I don't want to say rebellion as like a negative thing. I mean, like, the culture surrounds us, but typically culture fights the man all the time. There is a level of, like, I'm getting deep in the weeds here, so I'm not trying to go politically with it. I'm saying more of, like, culturally as a society. And the cult is always typically who that society is battling against. You know, whether it's another country or another team or another, county across the bridge, or your neighbor, or, Romeo's family. You know what I mean? Like, there always is such a battle against somebody, and somebody identifies them as the culture when really they're not. They're the cult. The culture is the one who doesn't identify as the culture.
You made a hand motion like this.
I'm very gesticulate when I talk.
Yes, but I think it's an important and revealing hand motion. So you kind of, for folks just listening, you kind of pulled your hands around almost like you're protecting something.
Yeah.
And when I think of culture, I think of it as a fortification of a community.
Oh.
I think of it as like a way to protect against not necessarily a cult, but to protect against and fortify in favor of a positive interaction between the people of that community, fortifying each other against any sort of invasion, whatever that might be.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't have to be violent, is what I mean by that.
Yeah.
But also, that's what culture does, right?
Yeah.
Is that we come together to support each other. And so I don't think that, I love this lyric because it leads to a conversation like this.
Yeah.
My first listen of it, I'm thinking, you don't have to have where we're blindly following, right? When it's a cult, we're blindly following
it's a cult.
something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas culture is not blind,
Right.
Culture is much more, it's a fabric.
Culture is more aware than cult.
It's more aware. There you go.
It's more aware of, so aware that they don't that's not they, but like, it's not identified.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and be like, I have culture, I am culture, or I have a part of culture. Like, I think that's like that's the whole, like, you don't need to sit here and point out what you got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think if you identify that, like, we all have harmony, we all have a capability. The ones who are running the cult, like, as you said, blindly, are the ones who are trying to push forth or drive the sentiment home of, I do have culture. Look at me, trust me, believe in me, and that's why it always fails. That's why I don't. Time and time again, man. You find me a very positive cult.
Yeah.
in our history.
Yeah.
So that's it, man. That's a lyric that I definitely have to, like, sit down and think about.
I want, for your next album, when you're doing promo, I want a video that we make where you look into the camera real seriously and you go, "I am culture.
I am culture." What's up, baby? I am culture.
Any other lyrics that stand out to you?
That was the main one. I do want to point out just a musical moment. Mm-hmm. So the moment I heard Unspeakable Thing, because that was a single release, I knew this was going to be a good album. I heard that song, was like, oh shit, he's bringing the fire on this one.
Yeah.
there was just, it's different. It's a different sound. It's introducing people to, it's taking elements of traditional folk and blues and Delta and like Gothic, like what you talked about. It's taking all these like elements, but it's like making something new.
Yeah.
It's a new melody, or at least it is to me. It's something that I hadn't heard. But musically, what I love that he does on the guitar is he wails on it on a minor note in a way that, like, if it wasn't this song and it was somebody else doing it, I think it would probably sound like shit.
Oh, interesting.
And it's right out. It's like it's like this like really like gritty. It's all in the tone and the way he's pulling the strings, and it's this thing that like you can't pinpoint it. Again, if you heard it on another song, I just don't think it would work.
Oh, interesting.
And that's why like there's a minor element to that song that is just so dark and heavy and like again going back to his voice and I love a good growl.
Oh man,
it's my favorite because that was one of the first things I learned as a singer was how to use my diaphragm and how to like really pull and get. That's what I do. It's like one of my favorite tools that I have in my tool belt. Like, oh, let me growl on this shit. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
So to hear somebody put in such emotion behind the lyrics and into the song and be kind of wild in the element, that's why I want to see it at a dive bar, because like it's one of those things where like you walk into a dive bar and you have no expectation of there being good music, but a band gets up on stage and you're like, all right, these guys look cool. I bet they're going to be pretty good. And then they fucking blow your mind, dude.
Yeah.
That's Early James and the Latest. And I can't wait to see them. That's like something that like that needs to happen stat.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Anything else that we missed? Because I feel like we covered a lot of things.
We did cover a lot.
There's a couple of things that I wanted to bring up. One is there's another lyric that I don't want to let go of.
Yeah.
In I Could Just Die Right Now.
Oh yeah.
The lyric it laid us both out.
Yeah.
Living is a young man's game.
Yeah.
Dude,
that was my last note too. Was from that line.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that we need to say much about it other than I think as you age, you keep, and it's so interesting. We talked about this when we were listening. He's a young guy.
Yeah, he's like 26.
I don't know.
27.
Yeah, and to be that young
Started
and
at
to have
21.
that kind of wisdom.
Maybe he's older than that now, but like he's not 56.
Right.
He's not in his 60s.
Right.
He's not, it takes me back to being a teacher, middle school English teacher at 22, 23 years old, not knowing what the hell I'm doing. Like, you just go with it. You just give it everything you got. Mm-hmm. I think what he brings, what Frederick and his band, what they bring to it is this sense of young, young in sense that they're in, the 20s, or they're in this element of being 2025, but with such tradition. There is so much. It's like he's in the wrong generation. But because he's in the generation, he's going to take everything he's got and combine it with what is in the now. I think you and I both pointed out, like, you said, I said Tinfoil Hat. And what was the other song that you mentioned with, that like was Dan Auerbach influenced?
Dig to China.
Yeah,
which we
that's
talked
right.
about earlier.
Yeah, we talked about earlier. So
yeah,
there is definitely some apparent influence with Dan Auerbach, because he produced it.
Dan Auerbach with Black Keys.
Of the Black Keys, and he definitely has a unique sound, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it's Early James. I mean, this is his album, you can tell.
Oh, for sure.
But I think there are elements of bringing you into the now through that, like a little bit of garage rock, a little bit of distortion, a little bit of heavy on the heavier side, the grit that is needed to get through this day and age, with the swanky sound, the swing, we're a parlor blues band, like there's such a juxtaposition.
Mm-hmm. Man, I mean, to sum it up, I feel like this is one of those records that stops you in your tracks from the first listen. I think it is. There's not a miss on it.
No.
Right? There is not a miss on the whole damn record.
It isn't the type of record, you pointed this out, it isn't the type of record you might want to just throw on at a party unless you're like maybe drinking fake blood or like having like a bit of a seance.
And if you are, invite us.
Yeah, we're down, man. We want to hang out, but like, it gives off a specific vibe. But it is one of those albums that you should definitely spend time on. And that was, as soon as I first heard it, I knew that this album was going to be special. It's definitely one of my favorites of the year so far. And the record that I bought is a really cool vinyl. I got it signed. He signed this one, and it's also got a really beautiful color to it. It has like red cracked. The record itself is like red cracked splatter.
Yeah.
So it's really, really cool. And Earle James, again, he's a hell of an artist. He's got one hell of a band. If you ever find that Earle James is coming to your town, go see him. I know that I'm waiting. Come on down, man. Come on down to Orlando. Let's make that happen.
Well, and please. And also to say more about the artwork, it's almost sepia toned, the photo on the front, which is just of him. And then on the back is him surrounded by guitars sitting there. And he has this look on his face like, I'm about to fuck y'all up with all these guitars. And then, of course, he delivers.
He does.
I think the artwork and the design is outstanding on it. And the physical record itself couldn't be prettier.
Yeah.
Awesome record, man.
He definitely slayed it. Slayed it with this album, and I'm just looking forward to hearing more of Earle James. So, Medium Raw. Go check it out, everybody. Thanks so much for, taking the time to listen. We're going to go ahead and roll out, our end of the episode.
Yeah, let's talk about what you're getting down on, man. What is the art that has you fired up at the moment?
Well, I'm heavily... I haven't thought this one through completely.
Do you want me to go first?
Honest. Yeah.
Okay, because I have a lot to say.
Yeah, hit me.
So I'm reading Stephen Dusner, who has been a guest on my show, The Marinade, and who wrote a wonderful book that's sitting right behind you, I believe, Where the Devil Don't Stay, about the drive-by truckers. Stephen wrote a book about Garth Brooks' life as Chris Gaines. If you don't know this story, y'all, do a quick Google search. In 1999, Garth Brooks had a character called Chris Gaines.
Chris Gaines was real, dude.
Chris Gaines himself released a greatest hits album. Sorry.
He's a real guy.
But it's a fascinating chapter in the Garth Brooks story, who is one of the biggest artists of all time. Some people I don't think realize how many records he sold. At the time, he outsold Michael Jackson. He outsold every artist not named the fucking Beatles.
Yeah.
Right? So like, at the time, if you weren't alive then, or if you weren't paying attention to pop culture then, you may not realize that this dude was selling out arenas night after night after night, that he still, when he goes on tour, can sell out a stadium. Megastar, and also great songs. Undeniably great songs and a great performer. And he had this blip where he became Chris Gaines, and there's a whole story
behind it. There was a movie.
There
was supposed to be a movie.
The movie never was produced.
And he was like, well, I got these songs. I need to... I know a little bit about it. Tyler Hood is our local Garth Brooks aficionado. Mm-hmm. That's great, man.
Yeah, it's a fascinating book, and I love Stephen's work. I'm also reading. I kind of put it down for the Garth Brooks thing, for the Chris Gaines thing. Sorry, Haruki Murakami's "The City and Its Uncertain Walls," which is a book about this situation between a boy and a girl when they're teenagers, and they fall in love, and they have to travel long distances to see each other, and then she kind of reveals to this guy that she really exists. This isn't the real her. She exists in another realm, in a city, and that the only way for him to get to know the real her is to go to this city. And it's this mystical place where, like, once he gets there, he has to make all these concessions just to try to get to know her. And she says to him, when you meet me in this other realm, I'm not gonna recognize you. You'll recognize me, but I won't recognize you.
Weird.
Yeah, it's wild.
That sounds weird.
It's
fiction,
wild.
right?
It's
like super
so
fiction.
Like every chapter, one chapter, it alternates. So one chapter will be about their interactions, like in sort of the physical realm that we would exist in, right? And then the next chapter is their interactions within the city walls.
So how would she not know who he is? You find that out?
That hasn't been revealed yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope you find out.
Yeah,
Because that's like an important. Yeah, that's like a big question.
Yeah.
That's a big question.
Yeah, a lot of things haven't been revealed yet. I'm still pretty early on in it, but it's great. And then as far as listening goes, a couple things. One, my title algorithm is fucking tight right now.
Yeah.
So I need to go back and look through it. But there's all these bands that are not necessarily in the Americana wheelhouse that you and I exist in, even though that's not our only interest, as we've talked about several times, right? So I've gotten a lot of really cool music that I wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise lately because of the algorithm. That's awesome.
Me too. Not because the algorithm. There's this one song Mariah got me into called Talk Down. And it's not something that you would think I would listen to. Maybe it is. I can't remember who it's by. It's from a few years. When I find out, I'll post it on Life's Greatest Hits of like, this is the song. It's a fucking banger. It's so good.
Nice.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. I think it's always good to we don't just listen to Americana. I think we made that pretty clear.
Yeah.
We've listened to Chance and D'Angelo and shit. We've been all over the place.
We have been all over the place, yeah.
Life's Greatest Hits. And we're coming up on a year here soon. Do you know the date?
July... I don't remember the exact date, but
yeah, man.
July was the first episode, and it's awesome to think about how, and we've got some things we've been talking about, y'all, for like where we want to go with that celebration, but it's no small thing that first of all that we've stuck with it, but also that you guys have been here with us, and the audience has continued to grow, and the feedback has continued to grow, and we're just really grateful that you continue to be on this journey with us, because y'all, we're having a fucking blast.
We do.
And tonight was awesome.
We do have a lot of fun. We are having a lot of fun. And I think again with this new style of the episode, with Foxes in the Snow, we were just doing that as like a one-off just because we love the album so much and we had so much to say about it. But once we made that episode and we sat with it for a little bit, we both listened to it, and then we were like, let's put this out. And then the response was like matched our excitement about it.
Yeah.
We realized that like we might be onto something here. And I think it simplifies the episode. You know what you're going into individually. And that also includes us wanting to bring on guests. So we're talking about bringing on some special guests who will bring a record of their choice. And we're going to sit down together, and we're going to do the same structure with a third person here. And we're going to listen to the record and then talk about it and see where it goes. I mean, we have a lot of friends, especially here in the Orlando area, and then we'll venture out beyond, who are vinyl enthusiasts all the same.
Yeah.
So I definitely think we're on the right track. Did I say what I'm getting down on?
Well, I kind of coaxed it out of you because you were talking about
what did I say?
The song that Mariah.
Oh, that song. Yeah, that's a good one.
Is there anything else that came to mind that you want to talk about?
Yeah. I mean, it goes without saying that like Michigan Rattlers are on another fucking level.
Yeah.
I think people need to be playing them from the start of their catalog to the end of the catalog and see the evolution of how far they've come, because like I love their album Evergreen. I do. I love Evergreen. Like that's my shit. But their new album, like after listening to them play it a few times, like live, I mean, Heaven is such a beautiful song, and it's so catchy, and I wake up and it's in my head. Yeah. And like on top of that, they're some of the nicest dudes, honestly, of any band or artist that I've ever worked with. And I've everybody for the most part is genuinely nice and kind and easy to work with or easy to talk to. They're not awkward, or they're not, for the most part. The guys from Michigan Rattlers are some of the nicest guys I've ever played with.
Dude, they
were so nice to me.
Anything really about? I knew who they were.
Yeah.
knew almost nothing until you went on tour with them.
Really?
And so when you were going on tour, I was like, well, I gotta listen.
Yeah.
Man, echo 100% what you said about the new
I might
record.
be bringing the album on for an episode.
Let's
because
do it, man.
Because I bought it on tour. I mean, their tour manager and their videographer and photographer were nice. I mean, the drummer Tony, shout out to you, man. Like, it was so good. Like, I don't know if you're ever gonna listen to this, but like, it was just really good meeting you. And like, we shot the shit and just like. We just talked. They were so easy to talk to. They were welcoming with my family. Like Mariah's family saw us in Tampa. Tyler and Liv were there. And like, Graham, who's the lead singer, like he and Tyler like went off to the side and just like were talking guitars and looking at Tyler's guitars. And it was just such a moment that like for me and Tyler, so I'll just give a little quick backstory. Years ago, I mean, Tyler Hood and I've been fans of Michigan Rattlers since we've known each other, maybe a little bit before then, but like Tyler and I went to see Michigan Rattlers at Will's Pub because I was asked to play the show and I couldn't because of a scheduling conflict. And we went anyway and they put on one hell of a show. And then a year later, they came back to Orlando and played at Soundbar, which was formerly Back Booth. Tyler and I went to that show. And before we went into the venue for the show, Tyler and I had just played with the band at Sanford Porch Fest for the first time. As a full band. And we were riding high. We were like, man, that was awesome. We played to like 75 people. Like everybody seemed to love it. Like that was just so cool. Like, and it got me to be like, I think I'm onto something. I think we have something special. I think my music is like coming into its own. I feel like I'm finally getting somewhere. And I remember telling Tyler before that show, this band, Michigan Rattlers, is the type of band that we need to be going on the road with.
Wow.
So 2020, right before the pandemic, I said that. So to go all these years later, there was a moment where we were in Raleigh playing at King's. And Mariah was running merch next to me, and we were standing there listening to their set. And they have this song called That Kind of Life. It's called That Kind of Life. And it's like, this ain't that kind of scene. This ain't that kind of dream. No, this ain't that kind of life. This ain't that kind of road. No direction home. This ain't that kind of life. It's like that reminder of like, this shit is hard. The music industry isn't easy. It's not for the faint of heart. But there was a moment there, dude, where I just started crying like a baby. And Mariah looked over at me, and I was just like, oh my God. She's like, stop. And I'm like, and I told her the story, and she was like, you're such a sap. But she was like, I'm
romantic.
That's very, well,
he's a romantic.
Yeah, whatever. I'm something. But my point is like definitely getting into Michigan Rattlers. I mean, they've been so nice, and I feel like I've become friends with them again. Like I definitely fall into the category of like, I dive into the artists I listen to or I go see live. We just saw Bonnie Raitt last week.
Oh, wow. I don't think I knew that.
In Melbourne.
Yeah. Oh, I knew you were going to do it. Yeah.
It was, to say the least, the theater itself was scary because it was like I'm not going to say which theater it was, but it was like really big and there were no restrooms on any of the levels, just on the first floor.
What?
Yeah. So, it's not about the theater.
Makes a difference.
So much as and also there was only one elevator and it was on one side. So like you have to walk up these like 10 flights of stairs just to get to like your row. And then when you get to your row, like our seats were, anyway, it was like in the middle. So it was just, and there was, there was quite the demographic there, where like if I was everybody's age that was there, I would have to go to the restroom a lot. Yeah. I already do.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, you both, buddy.
Yeah. So anyway, Bonnie Raitt, got to see her. Check that off my bucket list. That was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah. So definitely been listening to that. And also this is my last one.
Yeah.
You have lent me Jason Molina's biography.
Yeah.
I got into a couple chapters
Aaron Osmond
while I was on the road for a work conference.
Yeah.
So not on the road, on a flight. I was reading it. So I will be. I'm continuing to read that. And then I just downloaded Jeff Tweedy's How to Write One Song on audiobook.
I gotta read that.
Audible.
I read his first book. His like more memoir.
Yeah.
Which was great. And like, I'm sure most folks who are listening to this who are writers have read that book. But if you haven't, I mean, Tweedy's process is so helpful.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite songwriters too,
Totally. And I feel like I'm getting inspired by listening to other people talk about writing. Mm-hmm. especially lately. So I'm hoping that like continues my path down of like just being consistent, staying consistent.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
That's awesome. All right. Do you want to talk about the record that I have picked for our next episode?
Yes. Last but not least, Jason Earle has selected the next album for our following episode.
And it is the great, wonderful, brilliant, incredible Allison Russell's Outside Child.
All right.
I am crazy about this record. It came out in 2021. It was kind of her breakthrough. She'd been making music for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And, with her band Birds of Chicago and Our Native Daughters and just...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all kinds
Our
of...
Native Daughters.
Yeah, just all kinds of incredible... Yeah. I believe Amethyst Kia.
Is Dom, it's all female, right?
Yeah, it's all female. It's all
right?
female, yeah.
I was gonna say they're in that realm with Dom Flemons. You ever listen to Dom Flemons?
No.
Highly recommend.
Okay, will do. Yeah, Allison and I got to record. I'm not gonna say too much about this because I want to talk about it on the episode.
Right.
But Allison and I recorded an episode of my show, The Marinade, with Jason Earle, and then I also got to meet her in person a few years later at Orange Blossom Review, and we had a really beautiful, tender moment. So I'm especially invested in this record.
Yeah.
For reasons that will become abundantly clear to everybody when we talk about it on the next episode. So I could not be more excited about talking about this album. So we got Allison Russell's Outside Child from 2021 that's coming up next.
Looking forward to it.
Cool.
Man, what a good time. This was fun.
This was a
blast. It was a good one.
Yeah.
Early James, medium raw.
Thank you guys so much for listening, and make sure that you like and subscribe on your podcast app. Make sure that you follow Life's Greatest Hits on all the socials. Make sure you follow The Marinade with Jason Earle on all of the socials. Make sure you follow Jordan Foley on all of the socials.
And also keep on the lookout for a special project coming at you soon this summer.
And also keep...
That's all I got to say.
Okay. That's pretty exciting.
That's
a pretty fun
That's all I can
tease.
say.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
Yeah,
Giddy,
well,
right?
man.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of on the edge of my seat.
I don't know how it's gonna get anyway.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Stay tuned,
Something's
everybody.
coming.
Make sure you follow us. Make sure you're paying attention. Interact with us. Send us an email. All those things. Send us DMs. We respond, and we love them. So
We do. We love and appreciate any feedback you got.
Yep. All right.
Thank you so much, guys.
Until
and
next
gals
time.
And people
Thank
of
you
all
for
kinds.
sharing. Thank you so much for sharing your Life's Greatest Hits with us. And have a great day.
Peace. Said people of all kinds. That's funny.